The following contains naughty words like boobs, bottom, and honkers. This program is for mature and immature audiences. Listener discretion advised. Hello, friends. I'm Julia Robertson, and welcome to Lusty Literature, the show in which each episode you'll hear excerpts from steamy novels or racy poems, while finding out about the people who wrote them. On today's episode, we'll be travelling back in time to ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and ancient Rome. But before we start our Mediterranean tour, in which we'll get to say hey to the world's biggest pussy, the Sphinx, here's a quick detour on why I made this show. I was lonely as a teen until I discovered Jackie Collins. Her novels, Lady Boss, Lucky the Stud. Read them by teenage me beneath blankets in a tartaned papered bedroom in Scotland. Jackie's heroines in her books clad in designer dresses and stilettos whilst outwitting crime bosses were a needful distraction to my damp, sensible shoed life, in which for fun on a Friday night I might trudge to the local chip shop to buy myself deep-fried pizza. During lockdown, I got lonely too. Once again, for stress relief, I turned to lusty literature for company. Their tales of love and longing, along with really glorious descriptions of energetic, rumpy-pumpy, proved a powerful and cheap tonic for coping with uncertain times. Ah! The world's going to end! Look out for that pangolin! Over the last couple of years, I hope you've stayed joyful and healthy. But should you ever feel stress rising, and you can't be asked to bend over backwards to look at your backside in a yoga class, psst, come over here. I got some real good lusty literature for ya. Today's first lusty poem was written thousands of years ago in ancient Greece by someone unknown. But today's translation is from the American poet Michael Birch, and its title is Ancient Egyptian Love Lyric. Is there anything sweeter than these hours of love? When we're together and my heart races. For what is better than embracing and fondling when you visit me and we surrender to delights? If you reach to caress my thigh, I will offer you my breast also. It's soft. It won't jab you or thrust you away. Will you leave me because you're hungry? Are you ruled by your belly? Will you leave me because you need something to wear? I have chests full of fine linen. Will you leave me because you're thirsty? Here, suck my breasts. They're full to overflowing and all for you. I glory in the hours of our embracings. My joy is incalculable. The thrill of your love spreads through my body like honey and water, like a drug mixed with spices, like wine mingled with water. Oh, that you would speed to see your sister like a stallion in heat, like a bull to his heifer. For the heavens have granted us love like flames igniting straw, desire like the falcon's free falling frenzy. The woman in that poem, living in ancient Egypt, offering her breast milk to that dud of a lover to get him to stay, might, if she were alive now, buy herself a Hitachi magic wand, Japan's buzzing gift to women for over 50 years. So powerful that I imagine that if one accidentally went off inside of, say, one's carry-on bag at Dulles Airport, it might attract the attention of almost everyone inside of Terminal B. I imagine. Still, I'd rather TSA agents ran at me than have to bribe a boyfriend to cuddle with gifts of my clothes. Ugh, a maxi dress looks better on you. Today's second poem takes us away from the falafel of ancient Egypt for the feta of ancient Greece, home to the Acropolis of Athens and the astrolabe, an early scientific device for charting the stars. The writer of today's second poem was the priestess Sappho, who arguably was the world's first great erotic poet. Sappho having lived on the Isle of Lesbos, but today's renowned for its nude beaches whereupon German Venus and British bangers sizzle in the sun. Trevor, love, can you pass me the chamomile lotion? Oh, I'm sorry, but there's gonna be no spanakopita tonight. But about 2,500 years before that tragic scene in a package holiday hotel on Lesbos, the priestess Sappho's poems were read aloud to crowds to the accompaniment of a lyre, the instrument spelled with a Y, not some politician. Of Sappho's roughly 10,000 poems, most are lost. But here's one titled, "He is more than a hero." He is more than a hero. He is a god in my eyes. The man who was allowed to sit beside you. He who listens intimately to the sweet murmur of your voice. The enticing laughter that makes my own heart beat fast. If I meet you suddenly, I can't speak. My tongue is broken. A thin flame runs under my skin. Seeing nothing, hearing only my own ears drumming, I drip with sweat. Trembling shakes my body and I turn paler than dry grass. At such times, death isn't far from me. In that poem by Sappho, its protagonist, dripping with sweat, body trembling, may have had stomach flu. Or maybe Sappho was talking about limerence, the psychological term used to describe someone who's become romantically obsessed with another, extreme cases of which can lead to delusions such as, "When I finally speak to that Susie, whose Facebook profile I've been ogling for months, she's gonna love meeting my at-home collection of full-size washable latex dolls." However, unlike that doll collector, some people afflicted with limerence get a rainbow ending. when my parents were both struck by Cupid's arrows, they married 3 months later. And even now, grey-haired, in their 70s, they consider one another to be totally sexy. The priestess Sappho apparently worshipped Aphrodite, the goddess of love, lust, and beauty, from whom we get the term aphrodisiac. Mine was chocolate, until I streamed rugby matches of Scotland's international men's team getting mucky in a field. His muscular arse makes him run fast. Sappho likely would have been aware of the conflicting stories pertaining to Aphrodite's birth. According to Homer, writer of the Iliad, Aphrodite was the daughter of god Zeus and the goddess Dione. But rival poet Hesiod claimed Aphrodite was born fully grown from out the sea after the primordial god Uranus had his genitals severed. Just something lovely to think about next time you're sucking down aphrodisiac oysters. Yum, yum, yum. Our final poem comes from ancient Rome, that in some ways had similarities to present-day Nevada. For example, upon wandering about, you might see cocks, knockers, and peachy buttocks. And that's just poolside at Caesar's Palace. In ancient Rome, as in several counties of Nevada, prostitution was legal. And whilst Vegas offers signs promoting live girls dancing, because only a ghoul would pay to watch the dead gyrate, ancient Rome had frescoes, wall hangings, and home goods covered with contortionistic sex moves forewarning diners as to what might happen at tonight's orgy. Psst, Martha Stewart, please make for us an R-rated Roman collection at Macy's starring a wheelbarrow-decorated cheese platter. Yum yum. Ouch! The most famous lewd poet in ancient Rome was arguably Ovid, writer of the Metamorphoses, a poem of such length it filled 15 books. Ovid's dad, when his son had been a wee nipper, had wanted him to be a lawyer. But Seneca the philosopher believed young Ovid to be emotional and in need of a different career. Seneca clearly never having seen an episode of TV's Judge Judy. This is my appointment! Stop speaking! The following excerpt is from a poem by Ovid titled, Either She Was Foul or Her Attire Was Bad. Either she was foul, or her attire was bad, or she was not the wench I wished to have had. Idly I lay with her, as if I loved not, and like a burden grieved the bed that moved not. Yet though both of hers performed our true intent, yet I could not cast anchor where I meant. She on my neck her ivory arms did throw, her arms far whiter than the Scythian snow. And eagerly she kissed me with her tongue, and under mine her wanton thigh she flung. Yea, and she soothed me up and called me Sir, and used all speech that might provoke and stir. Yet like as if cold hemlock I had drunk. It mocked me, hung down the head and sunk. Like a dull cipher, or rude block I lay, or shade, or body was I, who can say? What will my age do? Age I cannot shun. When in my prime my force is spent and done. I blush that being youthful, hot and lusty, I prove neither youth nor man, but old and rusty. Fun fact. That poem by Ovid, written before the invention of Viagra, occurred at a time in ancient Rome when some chaps, to help themselves cast anchor, wore talismans of goat genitalia around their necks. Another fun fact. Ovid wrote that poem in Latin, but that translation is from the 1500s, and it was done by English playwright Christopher Marlowe, famed for his opus Dr. Faustus. Marlowe studied Latin at Cambridge University, and his tutors may have informed him that Romans had over 100 terms and metaphors for penis. Arguably more terms than even Scots have for rain. Smear, drizzle, daggle, dreich, clammy, applausen, passion doon. Thank you for travelling with me today on Lusty Literature. Next time, we'll keep moving forward in time to the royal courts of King Henry VIII and that of his daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, in which you'll hear romantic, Tudorific poetry. Goodbye.